So now on to the meat of the episode. There is a podcast musical called 36 Questions Podcast by 2 Up Productions. It is about an estranged married couple. Judith, the wife, basically lied about her entire life to her husband. They try to reconnect over the 36 questions that lead to love, and shenanigans ensue. These questions are real and were developed by psychologist Arthur Anon in a 1997 study at the State University of New York at Stony Brook. He was trying to determine how to increase and accelerate intimacy between strangers, lovers, and friends. So I'm going to answer them now, and we're going to become besties. There are 3 sets of questions, and if you were doing this legitimately, you and a partner are supposed to take turns answering the questions. Each set should take about 15 minutes, and I highly encourage you to do this with a friend, partner, stranger on the internet, or even on the first date. Set 1. Question 1. Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest? Obviously, I would like to have Gordon Ramsay because I would force him to teach me how to cook an awesome meal. I am not bad at cooking or baking, but if I had this opportunity, I would like to learn. I think I would clam up if I had to talk to a real famous person or somebody that I just admired, and it would result in an infamously awkward dinner party. Question 2. Would you like to be famous? In what way? Since I am starting a podcast, I feel like I am automatically disqualified from saying I do not want to be famous. I do like recognition and attention, but only when I do something that is worthy of it. I need to earn it. I hate attention for no reason, and I wouldn't want to be famous or known for something empty or hollow. Question 3. Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you are going to say? Why? Yes, all the time. If you do not rehearse what you are going to say, I want to know your secret to confidence. Calling someone I do not know is terrifying, and I have to practice so I do not come across as a babbling idiot. Generally, I have found it to be helpful to have some sort of elevator pitch for every situation. So when I do call strangers, sometimes I sound overly peppy. Question 4. What would constitute a perfect day for you? Wake up early, go for a hike with friends, go to a brewery and hang out, take a bath or do a face mask, something relaxing, watch a movie, call it a night early. I'm pretty simple. I like spending time outside and eating good food. Question 5. When was the last time you sung to yourself? To someone else? I sing to myself every day on the way to and from work. I have, little car concerts. I don't really sing in the shower though. That is the place where I have my most profound thoughts. I need that thinking time. The last time I sang to someone else was at a karaoke party at a friend's house. I sang World Burn from Mean Girls the Musical because I wanted to burn down my workplace. I have since left that workplace. I sang other songs too, but I told the host that I get 1 musical theater number and then I'll be normal. Right before the party, I was interviewing for a new job and just got a rejection notice. And I did 4 interviews for this company and was let go in the final round. So that really helped with the angst and emotion of the song. I wasn't super mad about the rejection, but I was just like, come on, 4 interviews for nothing? Question 6. If you were able to live to the age of 90 and retain either the mind or a body of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want? I would take the body of a 30-year-old. I was so smart in high school, and I've been out of university for about 2 years now, and I am as dumb as a doorknob. Being mentally acute is important, but I feel like if you are exercising, it is easier to retain the mental acuity. I am not even 90, but I feel the mental decline happening already. It's inevitable, and I wish I could avoid it. 7. Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die? Yes, I will die in a car crash at age 59, according to a psychic I met once. Honestly, I was kind of relieved when she told me that. One of my biggest fears is struggling with mobility in my old age. My grandmother died of ALS-related causes, and it was a blessing and a curse for her. ALS is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease and is probably most popularized by the Ice Bucket Challenge and Stephen Hawking's diagnosis and public struggle with the disease. ALS is a fatal neurodegenerative disease that affects the motor neurons in the brain and spinal cord, gradually leading to paralysis. If it starts in the lower body, affected patients can generally have a long, happy life with assistance. If it starts in the upper body, patients typically succumb to the disease sooner. It can lead to breathing and eating problems, and oftentimes people will elect for a tracheostomy, which is a surgically created hole in the front of the neck leading to the windpipe, or they will also need a feeding tube. Only 10% of cases can be linked to genetics, and if you have the gene, there's a 50% chance that it will be passed down to your children. Little is known about how this gene is activated and how it causes ALS, and I think about that fact a lot. I have never done any genetic testing, so I have no clue if I have it, and I don't really want to know. ALS is most commonly developed in your 60s to your 80s. However, Stephen Hawking developed his disease in his 20s and died at the age of 76. Slightly more men develop ALS than women, but this difference between genders disappears after the age of 70. Other than that, there are not many characteristics that link patients together. My Nana said when she got the diagnosis, she started living more positively because she was forced to do so. However, she absolutely hated to be dependent on others. She was living alone and had a nurse come at scheduled times to help care for her. My family was reaching the point where we were going to have to put her in a home because her care was becoming beyond that of the nurse's ability. She was on a wait list for a home, and it was a big point of contention in the relationship between my mother and my Nana. My Nana was wheelchair bound at this point. One day she was not properly strapped into a car in her wheelchair. She was not obviously driving. She could not at this point. But they got into a car accident and she flew out the windshield of her car and broke both of her hips. There were complications due to ALS, so doctors could not really operate, and she passed away basically due to pain and stress. The last time I talked to her was over the phone. Her voice had so much pain and she was really lucid, and I had a hard time understanding her. Within a week of my Nana getting hospitalized, I was also in a car accident. It looked a lot worse than it actually was, but if any variable was slightly changed, I probably would have died by decapitation. The windshield shattered in my face, and I ended up with a broken nose and a bunch of glass in my face. I had stitches along my eyebrows and eyelids. I also had a set of stitches in the palm of my left hand that made grabbing anything really, really difficult. It created my most emo trait. I will stare at the scar on my hand and just ponder why I'm still alive and pretend I'm basically Harry Potter. It is a miracle that I am alive and my eyesight is intact. I was rushed to the hospital for, I don't really remember if it was an MRI or CT scan, but they needed to look at my soft tissues to make sure there was no internal bleeding. When I came out of a hospital with only surface level damage, and I was able to leave that same day, my mom was very calm and knew everything was going to be okay between me, my Nana, and in the next couple of days, we knew that my Nana's condition was declining and we knew it was her time. During this period, we got a call that a bed opened up in the care home. and my mom was able to say that we would not need it. I can't really explain this, but my mom felt a sense of relief knowing that Nana would never be placed in a home against her wishes, dependent on others. I mean, obviously we wish that the accident did not happen, but sometimes the universe's timing is right. So circling back to the original question, I do feel like the psychic I met is right. I am like a cat. I have 9 lives and I've already used 3. I've never had good luck with cars, and 2 of my lives have been lost to them. The other life was lost with an ATV. Question number 8. Name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common. 1, we both like podcasts. 2, we like learning new things and meeting new people. 3, we're pretty hot, pretty good looking. Question number 9. For what in your life do you feel most grateful? I feel most grateful for my parents. The older I get, the more I understand them and respect how much they sacrificed for me. I also feel really grateful for my friends. I am not good at relationships, so sometimes it is hard for me to recognize, but I ran a race recently. The race was in a major city about 1.5 hours from where I live, and I decided to drive out the night before and get a hotel room. I had friends make that drive to get dinner with me the night before and hang out in the area, and I just really appreciated that support. Question 10. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? I wish I could have been a better daughter and a nicer person to my peers. Somewhere down the lines, I feel like I missed learning certain coping mechanisms, and I wish I was raised in a way where I was able to learn them. I don't deal with stress well, and I have a hard time feeling stable if I get knocked out of my routines. I can deal with change when I know it's coming. Like, I have no problem changing my routine and adapting it, but when stress and surprises pop up, I lose it. I wish I was able to learn healthy coping mechanisms instead of bottling everything up, because no one really wanted to deal with me as a child when I was having outbursts. Question 11. Take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible. I was born in Ohio. I moved to Illinois around age 3. I went to Catholic school. I moved again to the greater DC area around 2nd grade, and then 6 months later, my family moved back to Illinois. I went back to the same old Catholic school. I left Catholic school for public school. My mom wanted me to go to Catholic school to make it easier to get First Communion, but in the area I lived, public schools provided a better education. I moved back to Ohio again at the end of 6th grade. I got confirmed in high school, but I did it for my parents. I am currently my only immediate family member who is not religious, but I did start praying again due to the stress of my job, and now I don't really know what to believe. The idea of organized religion makes me shudder. However, I do have the utmost respect for people who practice a religion. The amount of time and dedication that it takes to practice a religion is impressive. I'm not sure if my comfortability level with organized religion is due to my own experiences or how society portrays religion. I feel mostly negatively. So overall, I'm still struggling to my relationship with religion, to God, and what my place in the universe is. I graduated high school and went to a university in Pennsylvania, the same university as my older sister. I chose a university 3 hours away from where I graduated high school, thinking it would be the perfect distance away, and it was one of the best ones that I got into, frankly. My parents moved across the country to California. After my sophomore year, where they currently are, I did my junior year abroad in London when I was in college. This was a freeing experience because it was the first time I felt I could be viewed as truly myself, not an aspect of someone else's personality, not a function of my mom, my dad, or my sister. I had a job offer when I graduated university in 2020. But due to COVID, it got rescinded, and I ended up staying at my university for an extra year to get my master's. I finally graduated university. I bought a townhouse and started a new job. I left my first job and started my second, which I'm currently struggling in. During all this time, I started running as a coping mechanism for stress. I've run 3 half marathons at this point, and I'm trying to motivate myself to train for a full marathon. Somewhere along the way, I played basketball. I quit basketball to do theater, so I am the real Troy Bolton. I considered doing a theater degree, but I chose a safer, more practical engineering degree. I miss art and creation, but I know I made the right choice. Since starting my job, I started teaching myself guitar to fill the creative void I've been missing, and starting this podcast will hopefully also fill that creative void. I view myself as a function of where I live, what I do for work, and how I spend my time doing hobbies. Question 12. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be? I would like the ability to stop time. I could get infinite sleep, free time, and work time. This would probably turn me into a workaholic, and I will say I'm pretty good at drawing a work-life balance because I like my life. I don't like to work. But it is important. I shouldn't say that. It is important. But yeah, I do not want to be a superhero. I've seen The Boys, and I know how that turns out. So, no thank you.